Hi, fourth graders. This past week, you have been using wonderings and then turning them into questions to think about what you've learned in a book. Today, we're going to continue to use questioning as you read about an animal's sense of touch and about animals' super senses. You will need your reading notebook and a pencil for our lesson today. If you don't have those, pause the video to go and get them. Otherwise, here we go. In your table of contents of your reading notebook, today's date is 11/12/20, and today we're going to write about animal senses touch. I seem to have the wrong slide, so I just crossed out what we had. And then you're going to write your first page that's blank, whatever page number that would be for you. Before we start reading, we want to first ask ourselves, what do we wonder, or what questions might we have about the topic? Our topic today is about touch. So what questions might we ask before reading about an animal's sense of touch or how animals feel things? One question I have is, how do animals feel things if they don't have fingers? Take a minute and write down your questions in your notebook. See if you can have at least 2 questions. This section of the book is titled Keep in Touch. Remember, that's our heading. I noticed that there is a picture. It's not a photograph because it's not an actual picture, but it is a picture, and there's a little caption down here telling us what the picture is. So this is of a walrus. The story says, when you sit down to supper, you can see what you're eating. But what if you had to feel what was on your plate to tell if it was edible or not? Many animals use their sense of touch to find and identify food before they eat it. Touch is also important for getting around in the dark, for finding shelter and mates, and for avoiding danger. I made a connection here. I'm thinking about at night, sometimes I need to use my fingers to feel the walls because I can't see very well in the dark. In the side box, it says, if you were a walrus, you'd have rows of stiff whiskers around your mouth for feeling. You'd poke your whiskers into the muddy ocean bottom to feel for food. When you found something the right shape and texture, such as a clam or crab, you'd dig it with your tusks and eat it. I can also make another connection. I know that cats' whiskers also help with feeling for them. Feel for your food. Invite a friend over for lunch and have him feel for his food like a walrus. You'll need a large bowl or bucket, a trowel, which is kind of like a little rake, sand or soil, edible and inedible objects such as an unpeeled banana, peanut in the shell, unpeeled carrot, a spoon, a toy, a sponge. Then you will also need a bandana or a blindfold. So in order to do this, 1, fill a large bowl or bucket with sand or soil. Bury the objects in the container. 3, blindfold your friend and have him poke his fingers into the bowl and identify the objects he feels. He should pull out only edible items, such as a walrus does. 4, have your friend bury different objects in the container for you to identify. You should find that common objects are not too difficult to identify, but some food items may be harder because you are not used to feeling them without seeing them at the same time. Your fingers are acting like the whiskers of a walrus, feeling for food you can't see. Feeling safe. Your fingertips are the most sensitive part of your body. Other animals use different body parts for feeling. A cat's whiskers are terrific feelers. Insects have sensitive body hairs, and birds use their feathers as feelers. No matter what they use to feel with, animals rely on their sense of touch to help them avoid danger. Slugs and snails avoid heat and sharp, dry surfaces that can dry out their bodies or cut their soft foot. The star-nosed mole has tentacle-like feelers around its snout that help the animal find its way through dark, underground tunnels and keep it from going out into the open where it might be seen by an enemy. Some animals and plants survive by being untouchable. The prickles of a porcupine keep most predators far away. The stings of bees and wasps make insect eaters stay clear. Even prickly or thorny plants are too painful for plant eaters to munch on. Losing touch. When you put on your clothes in the morning, you feel them against your skin, but after a few minutes, you no longer notice them. That's because your sense of touch grows tired when it is constantly stimulated by the same thing. Being able to ignore the feel of consistent touches help an animal focus on new feelings that may mean danger or food. I want you to pause the video and write down 2 things that you learned about animals' sense of touch. Our next and final section that we're going to learn about animal senses is about super senses. Super senses, you might be asking yourself, what is that? That is a great question. Let's read on to find out what super senses are with animals. The title of this, or the heading, is Surprising Senses. In addition to the 5 basic senses of sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch, some animals have super senses that can detect things people can't. Imagine having a built-in compass so that you'd never get lost, or being able to feel the electricity given off by an approaching friend. Read on to find out more about these surprising senses. Rattlesnakes use heat-sensitive pits in their face to find warm-blooded prey. The heat signals form an infrared image that shows the snake where to strike, even if the snake can't see the prey with its eyes. Sharks, platypuses, and rays can sense the electricity given off by nearby creatures. This makes it easy to zoom in on a meal. Migrating birds have a built-in compass that can detect the magnetic field of Earth. This helps them know what direction to fly in. Blood-sucking animals, such as mosquitoes and vampire bats, have built-in heat sensors to help locate warm-bodied animals to feed on. The box says superhuman senses. You may not be able to see heat images the way a rattlesnake does, but with the help of infrared photography, it is possible to take heat pictures of hidden, warm-blooded creatures. People have invented some amazing tools, such as microscopes, telescopes, X-ray machines, ultrasound, lasers, and metal detectors to help us extend our senses beyond our natural limits. Wow, those are some pretty cool super senses. So super senses must be that their sense, one of them, must be at a greater ability than the others. So thinking back to what we read all 3 days, I want you to think about which sense do you think is the most interesting and why. You're going to record this thought in your reading notebook. Then you're going to take a picture of your writing and upload it to your teacher in the way that they have asked you to do so. This is a skill, questioning or wondering, that you can use in both nonfiction and fiction reading. Thinking about and questioning what you are reading helps you dig deeper into the novel or into the topic that you're learning about. Go ahead and practice this during your independent reading today.